anybody else?
I need a cough.
Oh my God!
All right. Wait. All right, go.
Does anybody else's dog absolutely lick the crap out of their couch? Like, just leaves this, like, 4 or 5 inch circumference wet spot, and it always happens to be right where my thigh goes.
Right where you sit. Winston licked our old dog that passed away, sadly. Winston, he licked the couch all the time as well.
He did it in the middle cushion away from my seat. This one just sits, he's got it right there where my legs are going to go later, and he's just going to lick his foot the entire time that we're recording.
The couch has flavor.
There he goes. There he goes.
No, now he's just side-eyeing.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to We Watch TV, the podcast about the TV that we watch. I am Daniel. She is Hope. It is episode 66. How you feeling?
Not the best.
Okay.
I still have a very hacking cough that I've developed.
Can confirm.
Probably one of the worst coughs I have had in years, to be quite honest. I had strep throat when I got home from my girls' trip. I thought it might have been allergies. It was not allergies, unfortunately. Yeah, everybody always tries to gaslight themselves, like, oh, it's just allergies. I feel like we all always try to do that at the beginning when we're feeling ill. And that time I really did think so. And then it went from 0 to 60. And now I've developed a horrendous cough, which is very much irritated my asthma. And it's not a dry cough either. I'm still coughing up some yummy little phlegm. So, yeah. That's what's been going on.
My computer office area is in the basement, which is basically the opposite side of the house from where you spend most of your time during the day.
Can't
confirm. I can hear you as if you're sitting right next to me on the couch when you're hacking. It's great. I love it.
A beautiful, beautiful sounds.
But was it worth it getting sick to go down there and celebrate your birthday?
It wasn't really my birthday celebration.
No, it was kind of so. You're celebrating.
It was
your birthday.
more
It was
my
close.
girls' trip, my annual girls' trip. It's always fun to go to Disney, especially when you're there with your friends. It always stinks though when you have to come home with like an ailment.
Yeah, for sure.
But it was fun. My birthday I celebrated with you though. I feel like our last episode we talked. We're in the episode before last. We talked about birthday stuff, and we ended up celebrating.
Oh, you done licking? Now you're gonna growl at me?
And somebody honked their horn.
Jeez. I don't know if the mic even picked that up, but he just flipped his head up from licking his foot on the couch and just looked at me and growled.
And now he's
back to
down.
sleeping. Okay, well, at least the licking is over. The national nightmare is over.
I don't even know what I was talking about. Oh, birthday. We went to the melting pot.
Big surprise.
Like
she hemmed and hawed and ended up going to the same place we go every year.
Never, ever changed. Well, last year I was actually in Disney on my birthday.
That's true.
You can always catch me being excited for just cheese, chocolates, all that stuff. And then I went to Disney.
I miss when the melting pot made the cheese in front of you there at the thing. And I know it's not really any different.
It's like such a boomer thing to say. Like, look at the young people line dancing.
They used to put the thing there and dump it all in and mix it together in front of you. And it was
You really
just fun.
are like your granny's grandson. I remember, what did she say at the place? Like the little, I don't know, where did they used to dance? Like Lone Star?
Oh, well, yeah, one of them they used to dance around.
Look at the young people.
That was just nice to show. Like I'm a sucker. I like if you go to the hibachi, I like the onion
show,
the onion volcano. I like that stuff. I don't know why.
Do you like it when they line dance though? Look at the young.
No, I don't care for that.
But you don't like when people sing "Happy Birthday" at the table.
No,
which they don't do at Melting Pot.
Correct.
One time when we were in college, we were out to eat for my birthday, and one of my friends because I would not tell them because I know how Daniel is about this. You're like Mike Heck on the middle. Like you will he gets up and leave. Like Daniel got up and left the table on my birthday.
I had to use the bathroom.
He can't stand.
I had to use the bathroom.
Birthday parties when you were like a child? Did you hate to be sent to as well?
Correct.
See, I didn't bother being sang to, but I never liked opening my presents in front of people, and I don't like opening Christmas presents in front of people.
I don't
I feel like I'm on like
understand
display.
the concept of singing to people for celebratory reasons. I don't get it.
See,
It doesn't
that-
make any sense to me.
Like,
Who
first
likes
he's a jolly good fellow.
it? Okay.
But like, do you agree? Like, are you good with like? Are you like me though when it comes to opening gifts? I've never liked opening gifts in front of
Oh
people.
no, I've hated that.
And I feel like it's because I have to like provide like an like I'm so excited
Yeah.
reaction because I don't want to hurt people's feelings. Like one of my favorite things about our wedding, besides getting married, was that like we didn't have. I had to open my gifts at my bridal shower in front of people, but like after the wedding, we could just like open all the presents like at our house because we brought them. Like we were like the traditional people. Went on our honeymoon immediately. Had all the gifts like dropped off at our apartment at the time, and we got back. That was like really fun getting to open all the presents, and it was so much fun not having to do it in front of people.
Yeah, I hate opening presents in front of people. I am notorious for having a terrible memory of like just my mind is Swiss cheese. I don't have them. They're not there, but I have a vivid memory of receiving a Lego for a birthday at some point, and I already had that Lego.
Did you say it?
And I had looked at Mom and was like, I have this one already, and she's like, just say thank you. And I think that's where the anxiety started.
You didn't say it out loud though. Like I already.
I don't
have
remember.
this.
I may have.
Jeez. One time, well, you know what though? At least you weren't humiliated one time by some sweet lady that was trying to be nice to you, but you had aged out of Power Rangers, and she put it in. Okay, so we had. I'm gonna take everybody back in time. We used to go to this Christmas party that the real Santa showed up to because that was the real Santa. It was. I will take no arguments on this, and they would obviously each kid would get like a present. Somehow I'm getting, and like the parents, I suppose parents do the presents. Supposedly the parents are the ones that provided the presents. So I had already gotten a present. Well, suddenly my name's called again. And this woman, bless her heart, wanted to like get me a gift. I don't know why, maybe because I was an awesome kid. And she gets me, not even the pink Power Ranger, by the way, which I might have not been as upset about, the yellow Power Ranger like toy. And I'm like, at this point, like, you know, at least 11 or 12. So it was so embarrassing, even though, like, because I did like Power Rangers, you know, when I was much younger than that. But I remember being like, thank you. But then I had all like my little friends, you know, kids are jerks, like laughing at me in the background. And I'm just like, in front of everybody, Santa, all the people. And I'm so confused the whole time. Actually, you know what? I think I got that Power Ranger toy before I got the gifts that supposedly Greg and Cindy, aka Mom and Dad, gave me. And I'm shooting Mom looks like, really? You got me a yellow Power Ranger? And my mom's just like, there's been a mix up. So that's just, you know, hello trauma. Conversations for therapy, maybe.
Yeah. Did you guys ever do the Valentine's Day, like where you could like at high school, you could like have candy delivered to somebody?
Yeah, I used to be the ones that worked for student
Okay.
council and would
So-
deliver and would go to the classroom with the roses.
Just go out on a limb and suggest. And imagine, did I ever receive any?
No.
Okay, I did once.
Ooh, from
Yeah.
who?
It wasn't signed, and so everybody was like, "Who's it from? Who's it from?
Now I
Who's
want
it
to
from?"
know.
It's my Spanish teacher. She thought I seemed lonely.
We didn't do candy. We did flowers, like carnations and stuff.
I found out like because Mom went in and tried to figure out who it was, and she was like,
course your
"Oh,
mom
it's
would
from your." My mother was a teacher. She was at the high school with me. Whatever.
I would have totally rather had candy than we did the flowers.
It was like a balloon thing too. And it was like for me, like again, receiving gifts in front of people in any way, shape, or form, and in high school in like 9th grade.
So you're not like the mean girl saying like, none for you, Gretchen Wieners.
No, I did not want that, and it was even worse that it came from a teacher.
Well, I remember we did the flowers, and we were like certain people that was on student council got to deliver them. So like I got to dress up in like my red outfit and everything, and like bring people their flowers. But I did receive flowers.
Yeah, I'm sure. That checks out.
Anyway, so yeah, it was a good birthday, a good girls trip. Ended my Run Disney season. You kind of did the Run Disney season like virtually here in solidarity with me. I did 3 races. We wonder why my immune system gets shot when I go down there. Oh, and I go down there and it's like July Disney weather. Like It was so hot. So hot. And then, of course, our last full day, like it went back to what it's normally like in April down there, like 70s with breeze. But when we had to run, it was like, so you got to run in much better conditions than me.
Oh, absolutely.
I was running
it was cold
in
here,
like
actually.
summer weather. When I finished the 10 miler, I could take my t-shirt and wring it out. So we wonder why I ended up coming home with yet another bug. But other holidays that have since passed us, we had May the 4th. We didn't really do anything. We didn't even watch Star Wars.
No.
Just because, probably because I wasn't feeling very good.
Yeah, I'm not caught up on the Bad Batch at all. I've only watched the first half
Meanwhile,
the first episode.
I watched the ending scene, and I've never seen an episode of the Bad Batch because it got like on my TikTok for you, and I was like, "Oh, this looks interesting," and then I'm sitting there crying for a show I've never even watched. They say the Bad Batch is like the best.
Oh, it's great. It's great.
Do you think it's better than Rebels? Because that was your favorite. Clone Wars is my favorite.
I
but that's
will.
really
I
the
will
only one
answer
I've
that
seen.
question for you once I finish season 3.
Do you think I should watch the Bad Batch? Do you
I think you'd
should
like it.
invest
Yeah,
time
yeah, I
in
think
it?
you would. Especially the more time you invest with the Clone Wars, I think the more you'll connect with a lot of characters in that show. Plus, I think the character of Omega, who is new to the Bad Batch, obviously Filoni has his hands in this, and I think
Let that man do whatever he
he's
wants
got
with
plans
Star Wars.
to bring her in other ways. So there's a lot of people. So a couple of the announcements they made for May the 4th. They dropped a trailer for The Acolyte, which is the show coming out in June.
And that's based on the video game?
No, that's not based on.
Oh, no.
That's
Okay,
just
the video
new.
game's something different then.
And then they also announced that the show Skeleton Crew, which is another Star Wars show with
Jude Law.
Jude Law, is going to be coming in December.
So what's the video game one?
I'm not familiar.
I thought The Acolyte was based on a video game.
It is not.
Maybe this is me watching TikTok like you do.
Yeah, I guess
news
so.
From there.
But anyways, there's a character that they've announced some pictures and shown some stuff of the Skeleton Crew, which is the first time we've seen anything. And it's set after Return of the Jedi. And there's a character that looks an awful lot like an older Omega. And so some people are thinking maybe she's popping back up there in live action already. I don't know if that's true or not, but it could be interesting. She's a good character. I like the Bad Batch. It's very good. That's to say that the final episode of that dropped May the 4th. They dropped some trailers. They didn't really do much else.
I took advantage of, again, getting another mug for this home.
Oh, that's true.
They only released one You Are Here mug, or I don't think they're called You Are Here now. They call them something else, the Starbucks mugs.
Yeah.
They got us a Hoth mug, so we have another mug.
Good. Gosh, I was running out of things to drink out of.
Who cares? No big deal. I want more. Let's see. Oh, before, just in Star Wars vein, everybody knows it. Favorite Star Wars movie? Go.
My favorite Star Wars movie? Empire Strikes Back.
What's mine?
Empire Strikes. Oh, Revenge of the Sith. Sorry.
Empire Strikes Back is in the 2 slot. Revenge of the Sith is the best.
You're crazy,
and Anakin Skywalker is the best Star Wars character. Period. I've already recited.
No one's heard you say that
speech.
before on this podcast.
I know. I've already recited this. Your new empire. So I'll save you guys from that.
We really should sit down one of these days and do a Star Wars episode and just lay. I mean, I know we've pieced it together over the course of this podcast,
Star Wars supercut.
Like we really should sit down and just really lay out all of our opinions.
Oh, so not even a supercut.
No, not a supercut. Just lay out our opinions on Star Wars. The Star Wars.
And your favorite
episode.
character is Luke, right?
Yes, of course.
Who is your favorite Star Wars couple?
I don't think about shows that way, but Han and Leia.
Okay, I would say Han and Leia as well. But, Anakin and Padme, I've watched so many edits because of my next point we've got to talk about, not a holiday. We're going to take over in 3, 2, 1. This is now a Taylor Swift podcast. So, also while I was gone, the Tortured Poets Department, Taylor's newest album, was released. I actually went to a Taylor Swift listening party while I was down in Florida. Took a little break from Disney, and some of the girls and I went over to a friend's house that lives down there. And I feel like she wrote this album for Anakin Skywalker and Padme. I've seen so many Anakin Padme edits to these songs that is just perfection. I love the Tortured Poets Department. I think obviously so I got home a few weeks ago. At this point now, I have been listening to this album basically on repeats all day long.
I'm pretty sure Marvin is very sick of hearing it.
All the he's like, this again? I think that this is Taylor's best collective work yet that she has done. I love it. What do you think from all that you've heard of it? I know you're not a Swiftie, but you do appreciate good music.
It's fine.
Classic Daniel answer.
I don't have anything against it. No, some of the songs are really catchy. I haven't heard all of them, but
you also,
I enjoy the TikTok memes that are coming out of them.
You bought my first, well, not my first ever, but like our first new.
Yeah, I got
vinyls.
you one of them on one of the 4 on vinyl. Boy, I'll tell you
got me
what,
2.
I got you 2 at this point, but the day it came out, I got you the 1. And let me tell you, I don't know if this is just because I'm not a Swiftie, and so I'm not in the Swiftiverse or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But the way they released those vinyl records was like really confusing because there's 4 of them.
Well, there's one you can only get at Target.
And they all have the same songs except for one song. And it's like trying to figure out on that because I bought one just like, oh, I'll just get the. I thought that was just the one. And then you come home immediately. And the first thing you tell me is the favorite song that I have so far is X song.
Is the Albatross.
And,
which is not my
and I look
song,
at the
really
album
like
that I got you and I was like, why is it not on here?
Well, see, I've never really gotten into buying the vinyls either because that's just something we decided. We're like, let's kick it old school. Because we both talked about this, doing this for a while. And I was like, oh, like that's not my favorite now, but that was one that I was really vibing in. Like then, because, I was only at a listening party, so I didn't really get to listen to all the tracks a lot till I got home. And that was like the first song I asked you about. I was like, oh, well, is it? And you're like, why isn't it on this? So then you ordered me the other one that had that one on there.
Yes.
My favorite song from the album is "Who's Afraid of Little Old Me." You should be. That's like Marvin when he.
I just like the memes that on TikTok that are from that one.
Yeah, it's good. But great album. Been listening to it so much. I will continue to listen to it all the time.
No doubt.
I think it's one of her best works yet. So I had to get in there a little bit of Taylor content, but I guess we can turn the podcast over to actual TV. Not just Taylor Swift.
Which we got an announcement, just a little bit of announcement stuff. So first, Emily in Paris has some dates. Which season? What season is this? Is this season 4?
I think so.
Okay. August 15th. Unfortunately, they are splitting it into 2 parts.
That's the new trend.
So August 15th and September 12th. Bonjour.
There's only doing 5 episodes per part, though. And isn't most of the episodes that we've watched previously of Emily in Paris like shorter? They're not like hour length.
They're certainly not hours. They're not. Most of them don't even get to 40 minutes now.
I hate this trend, this 2-part trend. And I don't know if this is the last season or not. I have no clue. Are you excited? I know you like Emily in Paris.
I like Emily in Paris. I did not like season 3. Season 3 was a letdown for me.
I think what they did was they leaned too much into some of the side characters. The show is called Emily.
The wrong side characters, too.
Yeah, Emily in Paris.
Yes. They leaned into some of her like...
I like her roommate and her friend, but not to dominate a story. I really didn't care about her like little love triangle.
But then her friends that work at the agency with her like almost disappeared for half the season.
I would have rather seen them more than her.
And then they pop up at the end, and the last couple episodes, surprise, surprise, are my favorite episodes of the season because those people are in it. So, yeah, I was a little disappointed with season 3, but I'll still be interested to see what they do with season 4.
Same.
And then so we are in the middle of voting for what we should rewatch. As you know, our last episode was the finale of rewatching the OC. And we're looking for a new show. We've got a poll up. If you want to find that poll, you just go to our link tree, and it's the very first one at the very top. Go vote. Hope is also going to be posting an Instagram poll to give everybody kind of a chance to double vote to a certain extent. And then what we are planning on doing is Friday, which is Friday, May 10th, at let's say 11:42 p.m., we're cutting the vote. So whatever is winning at 11:42 p.m. on Friday, May 10th.
Stay up till then to announce something. I'm like, I might.
No.
Okay.
No. Friday, May 10th at 11:42 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just so everybody's clear, we'll cut the voting, and whatever is winning will be our rewatch. I believe New Girl is currently winning.
Yes. Why not 11:45?
I wanted it to be 11:42.
At least you did an even number, though. If it's not an even number, a multiple of 5. Does anybody else have volumes their TV that they have to listen to? Because I always have, and you don't respect the volume. I'll be like, no, you can't have it. It's either got to be a multiple of 5 or an even number. You don't put it on 71.
42 is the meaning of life and everything.
Okay.
So that's why.
Anyway, the choices that we narrowed it down to based on votes from polls we did was Gossip Girl, Scrubs, New Girl, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And yes, New Girl is winning. So be sure to check that Instagram poll probably sometime today on our Instagram.
Yep.
And yeah, you'll get
And
another chance to cast
we're
your
going to
vote.
add the Instagram votes into the regular poll votes, and the winner will be whatever comes out of that. Don't pick Gossip Girl. There's only one vote for Gossip Girl right now, and it's just from my sister, and she just wants me to suffer. So,
She just wants you to suffer.
hey, we watched some TV.
New TV.
Some new TV. And speaking of vinyl, because we were talking about vinyl a second ago, the soundtrack to this show is on vinyl, and I'm thinking about pulling the trigger.
It's my favorite part of the show so far, and that show is Fallout on Amazon Prime. It is based on the video game series Fallout. We have watched 3 episodes so far. I don't like it as much as you. I don't dislike it. And I've never played the game. I know we bought the game which this one's in California, but there was one that came out in like West Virginia that had some Mothman stuff, so that's kind of from our area. I don't know if the game moves at a glacial pace, but my biggest beef in these 3 episodes which the 3rd episode was the best we've watched, is they are taking a really long time to set the story and lay the groundwork. They're not moving quickly enough to appease me, because I really want to get some more of the mystery and the backstory, which we got a little bit more of with the 3rd episode. So just like as you said, the soundtrack, that's been my favorite part so far. The music is great. I'm not loving the show yet. I don't know. Maybe I'm not getting some like video game references, because like I said, I haven't played the video game before. I don't hate it. It's fine. That's my opinion on it so far, but you are seeming to really like it a little bit more than me. So why don't you go ahead and give us your thoughts?
I do like it. I will say I have not played a ton of Fallout. Like, I am familiar with the Fallout world. I think the last Fallout I really got into was Fallout 3, and that came out in like 2007. So it's been a while. But I do like the world that they have created. I think just knowing what I know about the games, the people who made the show got the game. They understood it. And for video game adaptations, that can be rare. Yeah. That the movie studio actually seems like they cared about the game enough to throw some stuff in there for the fans. I don't think it's overly like, look at this stuff. I think they're really light touching it. They're not like hitting you over the head with it. I do agree with you. I think the mystery of the show is taking a little bit of time to get together. They're spending a lot of time trying to set up the world. I think that's because
it's like, I get it.
Yeah, I think they think maybe people don't understand. Like, I think it's pretty easy to understand. Like,
it's almost
what's
like
happening.
They're like wanting to like spoon feed us. And
yes,
this, from my understanding, I believe there's only 8 episodes. So I'm gonna be annoyed if they do that thing where they put the foot on the gas, like the last 2.
Yes, I agree.
And it just spews everything at me at once, kind of like that was always one of my biggest criticisms of The Walking Dead, is that was a good show at one point, but it would move at such a glacial pace until like the mid-season or the season finale. And from my understanding, everyone's like, that has finished Fallout so far, not giving a spoiler because I don't know what happens. Everybody's like, we need a season 2. I hope we don't have to wait very long. So I would like to think that it's going to pick up and get better. I want to phrase, I do not dislike it. It's just like, I'm not itching to play the next episode at this point, because I just feel like there's stuff that I want to know. And I feel like they're just taking a really long time to just establish the scene. They're taking too long for me, and I want them to pick up the pace a little bit. Like, I get it. Yeah. Let's get into the lore of it, which we did. Episode 3 got into a little bit more of like the mystery, the backstory on the Ghoul, who, by the way, I can't take that character seriously because I've never even seen the show that the meme like, go outside, nerd. Like, I've never even seen the meme that what is that show called?
I think it's The Righteous Gemstones.
Something like that. I've never even seen that show, but I've heard that.
We might need to watch it now that we've seen it.
Yeah, I've heard that 1,000 times, and I guess I thought that guy was just putting on a voice for that. And I think he the actual actor has a bit of a southern drawl, which he overly does for this show, and I probably that one as well. But we saw clips from him. He was in a show called Vice Principals or something, where he kind of had that accent as well.
I think that's just his accent. Yeah, and he might push it a little hard sometimes, but I think that generally is how he speaks.
And why is the Ghoul hot? That's weird.
Well, I was going to ask you that question. Is the Ghoul hot?
At first, I was very mad at the Ghoul when I thought that, for those people who have not watched, cover your ears with the whole dog thing.
Yeah.
But then the dog turned out to be okay. The Ghoul is kind of hot, yeah. They actually did, like, that's how you create a character without a nose that doesn't look like that still looks like a person, unlike Voldemort, which I guess the point, like, Voldemort was supposed to be snake-like.
Yeah.
But I will never get over how weird they made Voldemort look in the Harry Potter movies.
Is the Ghoul hotter than Cooper Howard, his past self?
I haven't seen enough of Cooper Howard.
Okay, sure, yeah.
And
I think episode 3 kind of revealed to you you're probably going to see more of him because they're doing some stories through flashback.
Yes.
Can
we talk about the Sex and the City connection? Okay, so Kyle MacLachlan, I think is his name.
Yeah.
Most people, I believe, probably know him as at Twin Peaks.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the show he's like probably known for. I know him as Trey McDougal from Sex and the City and also as the captain from that terrible show, How I Met Your Mother.
Right.
But Trey McDougal would always be like, alrighty. Like when Charlotte would want him to agree to something, he would just like do this alrighty thing. And his daughter, he's in the show. We've only seen him in the first episode. I assume we'll see him more. But his daughter, Lucy, who's like kind of the main character from The Vault, she always goes, okie dokie. And I saw this thing on the Sex and the City Reddit of all places. And it was just like, oh, every time they're like, I'm watching Fallout and I can't like unsee Trey. And they're like, and look at this. Okie dokie. Alrighty.
Well, and then the woman that kidnaps him, because the story, the premise of the show is he is kidnapped.
Yes.
And Lucy goes to save him.
Yeah, she has to leave the vault.
The woman who kidnaps him was in Just Like That.
Yes, which is the sequel series to Sex and the City. So it's like I don't know. And Severance guy.
Oh, yeah. Ethan.
Yep.
He's one of the Vault Dwellers.
So this show definitely has a lot of Leo pointing at the TV memes.
It really does.
But not as much as the next show we're going to talk about. But we have seen 3 episodes of Fallout. We will be watching more. We'll probably, I would say, maybe be finished by next week. This episode, I don't know.
It depends. Like, so
if pick up the pace.
If the next episode we watch really gets you, we will be done by next week.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, it'll be. Yeah. It might take us a little bit longer.
Anything else that you want to say about Fallout? Oh, I have one more thing I want to say, so you go first.
Okay. The only I do think they do a really good job with the video game tie-ins, but it's not completely like ridiculous. The one thing that is ridiculous, but I love it, is the bag.
That's what I was going to talk about.
The bag that the squire has to hold for the big armored suit guys is in video games, a lot of games you have an inventory that's personal, like you keep stuff on you, and if you get too much stuff in there, you get slowed down because you're weighed down. But like you never see it all physically there. And so I think it's a hilarious gag that they've got this gigantic bag this guy's carrying around following the guy.
It kind of reminds me of my huge suitcase that I use for my checked bag.
Yeah.
And because I'm like 5 feet tall, it's almost like my height.
Yeah.
The bag. Oh, and then since you mentioned that, I would be remiss if I did not mention this. So often when I watch a program with Daniel, I'm going to say program like an old person, he will criticize every little detail just to get on my nerves. Yet you're totally cool with the fact that Lucy in episode 1 gets stabbed in the stomach and just she's healed by all she does is like take this needle thing, and you're like, oh, that's a video game reference. Like that's how you brushed it off.
That's how you get healed in video games. You just stab yourself with a syringe.
She would have needed like major surgery and probably died.
She stapled it shut.
Okay.
That's all it takes.
All right. I just had to nitpick you like you nitpick me.
All right. Well, next up on the agenda here is we have continued to watch Suits. We have completed season 3 and are
season 2.
I'm sorry. We have completed season 2 and are like midway through season 3.
I feel like we probably watched what would have been the season 3 like mid-season finale.
Yeah.
So about 2.5.
This show confuses me. Because,
this show's the Leo meme show, though.
Yes, it is. But it does. The seasons are structured really funny in that it does like a mid-season break, and then it has a false finale.
Well,
because they do
season 1 didn't do that though.
Well, season 2 did, and season 3 is doing it.
It's because I think season 1 didn't have as many episodes. And when I looked at the dates on season 2, because we were confused about this, like the show I think premiered like in that summertime, then it took a break and didn't come back till like January. So I think when they got more episodes ordered, they broke it up that way.
Right.
But still called it like season 2.
Yes.
And I believe that's what I feel. I feel like we probably got to the mid-season finale of 3, which we have just finished.
Yeah, but like each of the seasons, like the Daniel, like season 2, so that's the main season we're talking about here. The Daniel Hardman
Daniel was the villain.
Lasts the entire season, except it seems to be solved like with 2 episodes left to go. And then suddenly he's back in the last episode, and then they get rid of him again finally. It's like the old horror trope of, they always lunge, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like season 3 did it again.
I did not like him as a villain.
No.
At all. That guy was so, which I guess is mission accomplished, to be annoying.
Sure.
Let's see. So our characters, I feel like this show does advance characters and they reel them back in because they want to kind of keep people, which if you think about it though, that's probably the way people act in real life anyway though. Like,
I guess.
Like a lot of people stay, centered in who they are. Not everybody has this like magnificent character growth constantly. People do grow and change, but I feel like this show keeps it almost more grounded. Like you'll have a little bit of moment of clarity, then you kind of pull the character back, and that's who I could definitely say about the character of Louis Litt, who when we last left off, we weren't loving him in season 1. He still gives me Pete Campbell vibes, who I ended up liking on Mad Men. That's a Mad Men reference, but I do like Louis now. Even though Louis gets on my nerves sometimes. And, like, I'll have an episode where I love Louis and his cat, his love of cats. And then, like, he'll just make me so mad. But at the end of the day, Louis just wants to be accepted. He wants to be with the cool kids. Has your opinion of Louis changed?
Yeah, they definitely softened him a little bit more in season 2. He was very much an antagonist in season 1.
Well, he was a part of the antagonist in season 2, though, because he was going along with Daniel.
Yes, he was. But I think you kind of got to see
why he went
along with Daniel in that. And even though you were like, oh, why are you making these decisions? You were almost rooting for him not to make those decisions. Where in season 1, he was really just a heel.
You kind of understood like why he was behaving the way he did more in season 2. But then we've got to have like more like humorous little bits about him, like the whole cat thing again.
Some of what they're doing with him is almost too humorous to the point where it's a little odd that we're fighting about this cat custody.
That's a storyline from season 3, and I think they gave him that because his storyline in season 2 was so heavy. But where we left off on season 3, I think we're about to get
he's
about
to find out about Mike.
Yes.
If
so the premise of the show, if you guys don't know, or go listen to our previous episode, it's about lawyers, and one of the lawyers, Mike Ross, he's not an actual lawyer. He didn't go to Harvard. They hired him anyway. Now we've got Harvey always knew. He knew the whole time. Donna knew. Their boss, Jessica, knows, and she kind of like lords it over everybody. Rachel knows, because now Rachel and Mike are officially together at this point. Those two have been a seesaw, and you can complain about that in a minute.
Oh, I will.
And then where we left off in season 3, Louis just kind of found out that Mike did not go to Harvard. He found
something out. He doesn't. I don't think
he's
he has.
He's going to be suspicious.
Yeah, he doesn't have concrete evidence yet. But why is Mike Ross's file not in those Harvard archives?
And I've been waiting for this because, yes, the premise of the show, that's what it is. But as they hire more, because they hire from Harvard,
only Harvard
exclusively. Well, they might be changing that for
yes,
Rachel's character, but Rachel, the character of Rachel. Played by Meghan Markle. Had to clarify that. But it's been like the whole time, like I've been thinking, I'm like, well, somebody, like people, it's not that big of a school. I'm like, at some point this is going to come up as a thing. Like, Mike, did you guys know Mike? Like, it's going to become an issue. And I know maybe I need to take off my realist brain and put my Fallout brain in with the video game needle thing, and that's the way I should just watch the show for pure entertainment. But it's hard not to nitpick that little point. So Mike and Rachel, we'll get back to those two, they are together. They sort of got together at the end of season 2 in a way that you did not like.
I hated the finale of season 2.
Things are still a little rocky, but now I'd say they're together and pretty good now. But Go on and tell us why you didn't like it.
So they had this season and everything went the way it was going to go, and the crescendo to the entire storyline is that Mike finally comes clean to Rachel.
Yes.
And he tells her, and they're in the file room at work, and she's mad, and she should be mad. Because the whole story with her is that she did not get accepted to Harvard.
Yes, which I do find a little unbelievable considering her dad's a powerful guy and they're rich, but I digress.
I agree. Well, okay. Yes, but it doesn't seem to me like he was very willing to step in and use his clout to push that ball.
And she didn't really ask
And she
him
didn't
to.
really want him to. So
Anyway.
I don't necessarily have a problem with her not getting into Harvard. But she has an absolute legitimate reason to be mad at Mike. First of all, he's breaking the law, and now he's let her in on that, which if she doesn't turn him in, she is complicit in that crime.
And he's kind of strung her along.
He's strung her along, on and off. It's been this whole thing. And so then he tells her the truth in the file room, and then instead of her slapping him and getting mad and walking out, they have a gratuitous sex scene, and then it goes to end credits for the season.
Daniel, that's where you forget that you are watching a drama that both men and women watch. I knew that I didn't think it was a little much, I'll say.
It was a little much.
It lingered a little bit. Like, I would have been uncomfortable if I was an actor having to do that scene. But that's why I'm not an actor. But I think it was the classic, like, I'm so mad at you. But, like, now, like, I think she's kind of known that something was up with him the whole time. He had been really, like, cagey about their relationship, not getting into a relationship with her. And I think she's just felt an off vibe. So I think in that moment, like, knowing the truth, she was angry, but she was also like, okay, it makes sense. And I think she had just been rejected from Harvard. So she was just going through a lot of stuff. And it was a kind of heat of the moment, like,
and having sex
release.
on the copy machine is the answer to all these problems.
It was on, like, bookshelves.
Yeah. I'm just saying, I found it distasteful. I did not like it. I did not care for it. I thought, to a certain extent, it was a betrayal of the character that we had set up for her so far.
That's a very, like, proper word, distasteful. It wasn't the best. I think it would have been better if they had kissed, if she had smacked him, they had made out a little bit.
Yeah.
Then she stormed off.
I could have accepted that.
I think the way they went about it was just icky, but I do think, I've watched a lot more TV dramas than you, and that's a classic trope. I think so far what I can say in season 3 as their relationship has progressed, like, finally they addressed the issue, because they had dropped the plot. I was like, is Rachel going to go to school? There's other schools besides Harvard. Mike is really getting on my nerves when it comes to this relationship. Like, I am team Rachel 100%.
I mean, I am not a shipper of these two people as a couple.
You like them separately.
Yes, I don't think they work well together, and I don't think in a realistic world that they would stay together.
I don't think she's the problem, though, in the relationship.
Oh, no, I don't think she's the problem at all.
I
Mike's the
think it's
problem. Yes.
Like, he's not being now, and then he always comes around at the very end. But, like, I want her to yell at him a little bit more.
Yeah, but he comes around only after, like, when we get into an argument, when you and I get into an argument, and we argue for an hour about a thing, and then finally I come around to your side and apologize, that's what Mike's doing here. He's coming around eventually. He's taken the entire episode to come around to what he did wrong and fess up to it and be a reasonable human being. And so his character growth is he needs to get to a point where if he says something stupid to her, he goes, "Oh, that was stupid."
He's very insecure
and
not very supportive. So that, like, he gets on my nerves from that perspective. I feel like Suits is very similar to the Vampire Diaries when it comes to Harvey and Mike. They're like the Damon, even though they're not, like, brothers biologically, they're like the Damon and Stefan of Vampire Diaries. Harvey is Damon, the one that seems like he's emotionally closed off but really has such a caring heart, but is more of, like, the baddie. And then Mike is so much more like Stefan. And it's just every time I watch this show, I'm like, man, this is like Vampire Diaries, but like lawyers.
You know what show I would watch? I would watch
a show about
a vampire lawyers show.
They're
lawyers
made one.
And they're vampires, and they're solving vampire cases.
I'm sure probably one exists at some point.
Oh, no, they're vampires, but nobody knows they're vampires, and so the people they kill to drink blood, they are then trying to point the finger at other people to solve those murders to keep the finger off of themselves. Write it down.
Unfortunately, I feel like the vampire craze for TV shows has died out since then. I need to know from real lawyers that are listening, is this how lawyers are? Because they make every case about themselves, which I guess is part of the show. I feel like the guy that plays Harvey does such a great job of saying some of the cheesy lines. They're like, Harvey, look out this window and say this line without I would laugh if I had to say something.
I almost asked you this the other night while we were watching, but I decided not to because I wanted to hear what you think on the podcast for the first time.
Okay.
Sometimes when he smiles, if you painted him up like the Joker, he has that just little thing right in the corner of his mouth. He would really be able to pull off that crazy Joker smile.
I think he has a cute smile.
Next time you watch it, just see there's just a little curve there in the end. Then the Joker makeup, he would look really menacing.
I think anybody would look menacing in the Joker makeup.
I wouldn't. It'd just be my beard would be all messy with makeup.
I'm very excited for the Joker movie in October, though.
Yes, same.
That looks good. That's a good way to end Suits. Talk about a DC movie.
Sure. Anything else on Suits?
I think that's about it for now. I'm just looking forward to the ride.
And I'm looking forward to, I'm trying to think of the name of my vampire lawyer show. I'll come up with one for next week. Until I do that, you watched, without me, thankfully, Dance Moms Reunion.
Yes. I watched it live on Lifetime Television.
You had to figure out what channel that was.
My Super Bowl, yeah, because I don't really watch anything but streaming. And it was all right. It's kind of a disappointment, honestly. I felt like they released a lot of clips before the show on YouTube to get people excited. And I felt like even though it was 2 hours, I didn't feel like they asked the girls enough questions. And some of the girls, Maddie and Mackenzie, and then Nia, they didn't come back for the reunion. So I would have really liked, and I felt like they didn't mention Nia at all, which I thought was weird because she was the only cast member in every single episode. I think they dragged Maddie and Mackenzie a little bit too hard for not showing up. Maddie is the one that did all the Sia videos, like the little girl that would dance around. You would know who Maddie Ziegler is if you saw her. She's not as famous as JoJo Siwa overall, but I'd say she's probably the second most famous.
I barely know who JoJo is. The only reason I know who JoJo is
Dancing with the Stars
because of Dancing with the Stars and Special Forces.
Anyway, I would put Maddie's probably the second most famous underneath her. And I thought that was kind of tacky. But I guess my little warm heart was thinking that it was just going to be all roses. And they were arguing within 2 minutes of the thing, just like I remember from watching Dance Moms. But it was really nice to see the girls all grown. And I think they've all been through a lot of trauma. And it's nice to see that so many of them have grown into beautiful young ladies and have, for the most part, done well after the show. Some of them have had struggles and everything, but I think some of them have turned out very normal, you could say. And I don't know, it's just fun. I feel like Dance Moms is blown up because of TikTok. I don't even remember when I discovered Dance Moms one day, and then it was just that's all I wanted to watch.
It was a dark and rainy day.
Living on the dance floor. I've also been watching another reality show, The Challenge All-Stars Season 4.
It's another skip by me.
Yeah, because you never watched The Challenge growing up. I like the All-Stars because that is
where all the old people are.
Yes. It's the ones that I grew up watching. And you had to be nowadays for the challenge shows, you can be on Big Brother, you can be an influencer, it doesn't matter, a bunch of MTV dating shows. It used to be you either had to come from The Real World, Road Rules, and then they did the Fresh Meat thing, which was created just if you wanted to be on the challenge. So those OG shows, those are the people that I like. So I do really like All Stars. I tried to watch another season of one of the newer seasons of the challenge because last year I rewatched a bunch of old challenge episodes, which was just taking me back to my youth, or really my childhood. And I couldn't get into it because I don't care about these other people. And I feel like the Challenge All-Stars Season 4 is where it's going to be the end of the road for me because supposedly the cast list for Season 5 has been leaked and they're letting some of the Big Brother people and influencers on when I'm the whole point of why All-Stars was created by Mark Long from Road Rules, the first season of Road Rules, was to bring back these old people. So either the old people don't want to do it or they're just basically oh, this is popular, let's put it basically with our flagship lineup. So I don't know, I like it. I always thought it'd be fun to compete on something like the challenge. I like games and stuff like that. You don't think you'd have fun?
I don't disagree with that because you're looking at me. I'm the guy that spent 4 hours the other day trying to find an obstacle course to
Yeah.
run, only to find out that they're all crazy people, and it's obstacle course that you run, not running through an obstacle course, and I need it to be running through an obstacle course, not obstacle course that you sometimes run in.
So you would like doing the events of the challenge, but you wouldn't be able to like the politics
No,
of
I'd
it.
hate that part.
And I don't think I would like that part either very much. Like, I don't know how I would play it, honestly. I think if I had been a young single person, I'd probably do the thing where you attach yourself to somebody. Kind of like, I'm going to take, remember Survivor?
Yes.
Boston Rob and Amber like rode his coattails and ended up winning the whole thing. I feel, and she was good at like some of the stuff, but like I feel like I'm just not an aggressive enough person to play the political game in a situation like that. And that would also, like, I'd have to rely on like my actual skills, my physical skills.
Yes.
Anything else we've been watching for me?
For you, somehow Palpatine has returned.
Palpatine?
You've been watching Grey's Anatomy.
Seriously?
You have.
Seriously?
Yeah.
It's a thing. Seriously? Grey's Anatomy? Seriously?
Seriously.
Well, when I have no voice, and as you can tell, my voice still doesn't sound great, and I've just been really tired and hardly able to get off of my couch, I bust out a show that's still on the air. It just got renewed for another season, if you can believe that. Can I just say that I am now hit season 4 of Grey's Anatomy. Those first 3 seasons, especially those first 2 of Grey's Anatomy, is peak television. I'm reminded of why, when I was in college, my friends and I would get together and we'd watch the episodes. I remember sobbing when Denny Duquette died at the end of season 2. It still makes me sad. We call him the magic season. That's the original interns. Meredith, Alex, George, Izzy, and Christina. The magic era was great. I would like to, because at first I thought that Grey's Anatomy was going to be over. I didn't realize they were going to get renewed again. So like my original goal was like, oh, maybe I'll watch and I'll go back and I'll force myself to get through the seasons I missed. You know, I have a lot of work to do. But now I'm like, oh my gosh, when is it going to end? Because I would like basically, guys, when Derek Shepherd, spoiler alert, if you didn't know this, please, when his character died, I pretty much was like, I'm done with this show. Then they lured me in again a little bit. And I wasn't fully done, but I started to get invested again. And then they made me mad again with another thing that happened. So I was like, I'm done. And then they lured me in on another episode. So they'll like always like lure me back in a little bit. And then like when Jackson and April came back for an episode, which I think that was only like last season, they lured me in again. And I just watched that episode. But I would like to see this show through eventually. So it's I've enjoyed my rewatch. You watched some of it.
I think I've seen the first 4 seasons.
Well, you used to watch after, like,
we
think,
watched them together.
Yeah,
on Netflix
season
at
4
some
would have
point.
been the year we were first married, and you did watch some of it with me. But yeah,
but I've seen the first few seasons with
because
you
watched
and
it on
rewatched
Netflix,
it at some time.
I
do have a question for you about Grey's Anatomy in general, which is why do a majority of the people who leave the show, does their character have to die for that to happen?
I don't know. That's my question as well.
It seems crazy to me.
Like
now, I guess I could understand Derek, like, if the actor doesn't want to be on the show anymore,
I still think
it would be difficult to write him off.
He was working with the White House and the president.
Oh, I did not know this detail. Excuse me.
And I feel like we could have just had that Meredith and them were still together, and like she would visit him off screen, and they could have had mentions, because Patrick Dempsey did come back for the COVID season where Meredith was in a coma and she saw George, Lexi, and Mark and Derek on the beach when she was like half dead. I did watch some of those scenes. I don't know. I just feel like it was unnecessary. Like, but there are other hospitals in the world. Like Lexi and Mark, that was the first time Shonda really, really made me mad. Like, why couldn't they have just transferred to another hospital and gotten a job elsewhere? There's so many hospitals in the country. The only, like, Christina didn't die. Alex didn't die. So not everybody didn't die. Izzy didn't die, but she had a terrible send-off. I don't know. That's a question for Shonda Rhimes.
Well, let's get her on the show and ask the hard questions.
We will.
All right. Is that all? I think that's it.
Is that all?
That's all. I haven't watched any Star Trek, so I have no Star Trek to talk to you about. As much as I try to get into...
What did you watch while I was gone?
I did finish season 4 of Lower Decks.
Aren't you mad about that? Don't you have something to rant about that?
I do,
That I heard an earful when I returned home and wasn't feeling well.
Listen, everybody. Paramount sucks. They're awful. They're going to get bought by somebody. I don't know that the people that buy them are going to be any better, but it can't be any worse. Their app is trash. And they're treating Star Trek like Star Trek's like one of the biggest franchises they have. And they've got a very popular show in Lower Decks, and they announced season 5 of Lower Decks is coming in September, and it will be the final season. And from my understanding, I know how cartoon shows work, okay? That show's done. I'm not entirely convinced they got the opportunity to finish it. Like, the season will just end, but they won't do like a finale to a certain extent.
That's annoying.
To the point where the showrunner for the Lower Decks is looking for somebody else who would produce a season 6.
That's like the worst thing when you watch any show, cartoon, live action, and you don't get a proper conclusion.
Well, so Discovery, which is the Star Trek show that is ongoing at the moment and is in its final season, they were able to go back and do some pickups to finish it out, but they also they filmed the entire season without knowing it was their last season, and then had to go do reshoots to fix the last episode so they could wrap it up. That's just not how you do it.
Yeah.
And it's annoying. And Lower Decks in particular is one of the best Star Trek things they have done since JJ kind of came in and crapped on everything.
Oh, with the Kelvin universe.
With the Kelvin timeline. So it's disappointing. I don't know what else to say. I finished season 4 of Lower Decks. It's good. Go watch it if you like Lower Decks, or if you like Star Trek. Go like it. If you watch, if you're into Rick and Morty and stuff like that, go watch it too, because you'll probably like it, and that could get you into Star Trek. Be into Star Trek.
Speaking of other shows we watch on Paramount Plus, we did watch the season finale of Ghosts, but we're going to talk about Ghost and Abbott Elementary, 2 sitcoms. We're going to save that for next Tuesday's episode. We gotta save something since all of our content's coming at once in June. So I think that's, what a good way to end it on, as a Star Trek Paramount Plus rant by Daniel.
Yeah, they're terrible. Listen, go vote. Go vote in our poll. Go pay attention on Instagram. Go vote in that poll. New Girl is winning by a pretty wide margin at this point. So if you have interests in us not watching that and something else, you gotta, your vote matters. Every vote matters.
In this important election season. Thanks for listening to this episode of We Watch TV, a podcast about the TV shows we watch. You can find more from Hope and Daniel on Instagram at We Watch TV Podcast. Drop us a line if you like the show, have a question, or a recommendation. You can find Hope on Twitter at Lil Runner and Daniel on Twitter at The Real Hobo Dan. Music for today's podcast was provided by Your Tunes from Pixabay. Artwork was created using the AI program Midjourney with prompts written by Daniel.